Happy Friday, everybody. The Giants lose a fundamentally mistaken game against the Padres tonight. This is Giants Roundup. It's June 22nd. It's also Beatles night at at&t Park. But no, this is not a game that you can buy the fans' love with as they lose 6-2. You can follow on Twitter, join the Crook and Kite fan page on Facebook. Most importantly, please be kind and hit that subscribe button. I'll be back in a second. And no, it was a lot of fundamental mistakes tonight. Some bad decision making by Bruce Bochy. What could go wrong did go wrong tonight. And they dropped game 2 of the series against the Padres. And they got started off to a good start. This loss is truly not on Chris Stratton. Stratton was decent tonight. He gives up 2 earned in 6 innings pitched. And those were easily those were on not necessarily on him, but fundamental mistakes. Two, the Gorkas Hernandez scored on Clayton Richards' wild pitch, made it 1-0. But after that, Clayton Richards settled down, and that's what the Giants were close to getting. In the second inning, Margot doubles to deep left. It scores Corey Spangenberg. It ties the game at 1-1 apiece. Then it was good by Stratton until the 6th, and then Spangenberg scores on a wild pitch by Stratton. Something that really Nick Hundley should have had, and then Galvis saved on a throwing error by Hundley. It makes it 2-1 Friars. And then Margot single to left, it scores Galvis on the play, makes it 3-1. So that ended up being a costly mistake by Nick Hundley. And that was the end of both Nick Hundley's night and Chris Stratton. Stratton was okay. It's more the fact that the fundamental mistakes were the killers tonight for the Giants. But they would manage to try to make a comeback in the 7th when Panda singles to score Mac Williamson. Makes it 3-2. And then the gas can known as no, Corey Guerin was not the gas can tonight. He actually had a scoreless frame. It was the other gas can known as Pierce Johnson comes in, and oh boy, he walks 2 batters, and then the bases end up loaded. In comes Will Meyer, gets an out. Then Will Smith comes in and inherits the runners, and it all went hell in a handbasket in the 9th inning. When Will Smith pitches a mistake that manages to score 3 runs. It scores Hosmer. It scores Hosmer singles. It scores Margot and Lopez. And that would be the killer, and that hurts. And now it brings up maybe some legitimate questions for the Giants here as we go into Game 3. No, this is the problem was Hundley. He definitely was a defensive liability, and then Posey had to come in and go in the squat in the 7th inning. That was not good there. Block was good out of the pen again. That was good. But Will Smith, he had an off night. He's probably been worked a bit. Pierce Johnson, who's been rested, his first game since returning into the bullpen, not a good impression. The Friars bullpen was good tonight. Actually, they were able to shut down the Giants. But Pierce Johnson, with him being pretty much the 25th man on the roster, he can't have too many games like this. Or at some point you are gonna it or the or at some point you're gonna have to maybe think about calling up Ray Black. Is it maybe time to consider calling up somebody like Ray Black? Or and that was a questionable decision by Bochy. And I think Bochy, that one kind of falls on Bochy, and I don't think he should have brought. I truly don't think he should have brought Pierce Johnson into that situation. But right now, you got Ray Black who's knocking on the door. You still got Tyler Rogers, who I think at some point who could be up in the running for a consider. But I think maybe. But look at Mac Williamson. He's really starting to fall on hard times. And yesterday, Austin Slater was on the taxi squad. Unfortunately, he was sent back to Sacramento tonight. But how much more leash can you give Mac Williamson? He struck out twice tonight. He's 0 for 3. He walked once, but his he's not that much higher than Hunter Pence now at 213. Crawford is certainly cooled off. Brandon Belt's cooled off. The bats need to get it up a skosh. But Williamson, he can't afford too many more games like this, or you do maybe have to mold the idea. And then Joe Panic, he was good off the bench tonight. Alan Hansen, he's cooled off a bit. But I wonder, is it maybe time for Austin Slater in left field? Granted, Slater's not hitting as hot as he was earlier this season, but he's still hitting pretty good. And certainly he's had some success hitting at the major league level. So at some point, you really have to think the idea of calling up Austin Slater. And it, Mac Williamson's just running out of time. This is likely his last year of having options at this point, and he's got to find his swing soon, or else you will see him and Slater, or the Giants are going to have no option but to call up Austin Slater. Gorgas Hernandez. If the Giants start scuffling out of it, is it maybe time to sell on him? I think possibly that could be a player you could possibly trade if the Giants continue to scuffle around 500. Is it maybe time to sell? They fall to fourth place tonight with Colorado winning. They are 5 games out of first at 38 and 39. But the Giants, it's time to start trending up. They need to make some sort of a run sooner or later. And you got July coming. That's not going to be. You got Colorado coming up, and then you go on the road to play Arizona, and then Colorado again. These are games you need to win. But if say they do fall out of it, I think I actually think Gorkas Hernandez is a trade chip. He could certainly bring you back. This would be perfect time to cash in on him for prospects. Maybe you trade Sam Dyson for prospects. Certainly some moves. I don't think they're going to do a complete teardown, but I do think they could look to do some minor selling, start getting that farm stocked up. If even if they're still continuing to scuffle around 500, and they need, but the problem is they're Arizona and LA are starting to get separation from the rest of the division at this point. And if Arizona is able to get somebody like Chris Davis at the deadline, Arizona, and I don't see, and the problem is Arizona and LA, they're not what San Diego was in 2010. These are tried and true teams that made playoff runs last year. So I don't see them putting their foot off the gas pedal. So now is the time to make that run. It's now or never for them, and but certainly it's. I'd maybe go ahead and maybe take a look at Ray Black. I just don't think Pierce Johnson. There's just something. He's just not. He's kind of hit a brick wall in the majors right now, and something needs to change about it. Tonight's attendance, it was Beatles night at at&t Park, and it was a sellout. On paper, it looks like it was a sellout, but I did see quite a bit of empty seats for a sellout. But it was a nice tribute to the Beatles. This weekend is Gay Pride weekend in San Francisco, so certainly it fits the bill there. But too bad they didn't play Love Potion number 9 and things like that. But it certainly was fun tonight. I would have liked to gone to AT&T for this game, but the workload unfortunately dictated otherwise. But now Stratton, not a like I said, Stratton, but Clayton Richard. Here's one on the other side. Let's go to the other side of the foot. Is it time for the Friars to sell high on Clayton Richard? I say yes. This might be the year you're going to see Clayton Richard get traded out of San Diego. I don't think he's part of the long term plans there for the Friars. And certainly with a lot of teams looking to upgrade on starting pitching at the trade deadline and the lack of available starters, San Diego could actually get a nice return for Clayton Richard if they were to make him available at the trade deadline. And he's been pretty good as of late, so it totally would not surprise me if we see Clayton Richard traded at this year's trade deadline. But Margot was the killer tonight. He goes 2 for 3. Hosmer 2 for 5. Jankowski 2 for 4. Let's go to the MLB Roundup. Well, then also though too tonight we had some. We'll see. Last night too, Samardzija he gave up 2 earned in his rehab start, and we'll see if he returns to the Giants or not next week, or if he's going to make one more rehab start. It looks like they are going to give Jeff Samardzija one more rehab start. He wasn't exactly great last night. He gives up 2 earned in 4 innings pitched in Sacramento. So definitely a smart move there. I don't want him to rush Samardzija back too soon, especially since he was pitching hurt the last time he was up. So that's certainly a good move by them to not bring back. And then Johnny Cueto. But it looks like Johnny Cueto will do a rehab starting Saturday in Sacramento. So that's positive news there. So that's definitely going to be as good as a trade there. So you might see both Suarez and Rodriguez go back to Sacramento around the same time now. We'll see how Cueto's start does tomorrow in Sacramento and go from there. Tomorrow it will be tomorrow night it will be Andy Suarez against Jordan Lyles. Okay, this will be a 1 o'clock game tomorrow afternoon. I may not be doing a show tomorrow. I'm going to be at a birthday party in Concord. So I'm kind of going to be on assignment tomorrow. So I'll be back on air on Sunday. Sometimes there's more important things than podcasting. And Lyles, he's actually been pretty good since being part of the Friars rotation. He's put up decent numbers. He's 2-4 with a 4.46 ERA. Not great, good, but okay. Not great, but okay. And certainly Suarez has actually not been too bad in his last 2 starts. So certainly he'd like to leave a lasting impression. Certainly with the veterans getting close to a return. But there should be some fun afternoon baseball tomorrow. It should be a fun game. If you're going to be at the game, please stay hydrated. It's going to be warm. It's going to be, I think, near 80 degrees in San Francisco tomorrow. So drink plenty of fluids, wear light clothing, and please find shade if you start getting hot tomorrow. It is going to be a hot one all over California. So definitely try to stay cool tomorrow. And let's do the MLB Roundup for today. In Orange County, the Angels beat the Blue Jays 2-1, taking the win Andrew Heaney, taking the loss Marco Estrada. Albert Pujols goes 2 for 3. And Estrada just gets a tough loss today. In Denver, the Rockies beat the Marlins 11-3, taking the win John Gray. And it looked like the old John Gray today, as he only gives up 1 earned run and strikes out 12 in 7 innings pitched. Dirk Dietrich goes 3 for 5. JT Realmuto 3 for 5 for the Marlins. Nolan Arenado goes 3 for 4 and hits his 17th home run of the year. And of note, this is the 5th straight game where Nolan Arenado has hit a home run for the Colorado Rockies. So he's starting to get hot at the right time. Ryan Chang takes the loss, gives up 7 earned runs and 4 innings pitched. Eliezer Hernandez gives up 3 earned and 1 inning pitched. And Tom Murphy goes 3 for 5. It looks like he's starting to become the answer for the Rockies' catching woes in Denver. In Houston, the Royals blanked the Astros 1-0, taking the win. Justin Grimm taking a tough loss tonight is Ken Giles, who gives up an earned run in the 9th inning to blow the game. And Dallas Keuchel, it looks like he's back on track. Another scoreless game gives 6 innings pitched. Danny Duffy, a 6 scoreless innings. That's going to help boost his trade value a bit for Kansas City. Tonight in Minneapolis, the Rangers beat the Twins 8-1, taking the win. Mike Minor taking the loss. Fernando Romero. Adrian Beltre goes 2 for 5. Mazzara goes 2 for 5 for Texas. And Matt Belisle, not a good day, gives up 4 earned in 1 inning pitched. In Milwaukee, the Brewers beat the Cardinals 2-1, taking the win. Corey Neville taking the tough loss. Bud Norris, who gives up an earned run in 1/3 of an inning pitched. And now the Cardinals fall 6.5 games back of the Brewers. And they are now at 38-36. So it's going to get interesting. Jack Flaherty was good today. 7 innings pitched, 1 earned run, 13 strikeouts. But it's got to start it's starting. But I would certainly think though that Mike Matheny is starting to sizzle over there in St. Louis. In Oakland, in Chicago, game 1 of the doubleheader. Our boys from the other side of the bay, the A's, wallop the White Sox 11-2, taking the win. Sean Manaea, 7 innings pitched, 1 earned. James Shields takes the loss, 4 2/3 innings pitched, 2 earned. But he did allow 8 runs. Only 2 of them were earned in a comedy of errors for the White Sox, and the A's made sure to make them pay for it. As Barreto, he's back. He definitely backs. Franklin Barreto comes in and hits 2 home runs, his 3rd home run of the year, and those ended up being big difference makers for the A's today. Jonathan Lucroy goes 1 for 2. Ted Lowry 2 for 5. Chris Davis 2 for 5. And in Pittsburgh, the D-backs beat the Pirates 2-1, taking the win. Andrew Chafin taking the loss. Tyler Glasnow. And this one was a 13-inning game. And Ivan Nova, he's certainly going to have some trade value at the deadline for the Pirates. Corbin was excellent tonight. 7 scoreless innings, 12 strikeouts. Ivan Nova, 8 scoreless, 8 strikeouts. Kyle Crick, 2 strikeouts in his scoreless frame. And then Brad Boxberger, another blown save with an unearned run. And in Washington tonight, the Phillies pummel the Nationals 12-2, taking the win. Zach Eflin taking a pounding tonight. Tanner Roark, who gives up 6 earned runs in 4 1/3 innings pitched. Odubel Herrera goes 4 for 5 for the Phillies. Cesar Hernandez 3 for 5 for the Phillies. Herrera hit his 13th home run of the year. Santana his 12th home run. Knapp his 2nd home run of the year. And the bullpen was not any better today. Matt Grace, 2 earned and 2 innings pitched. Sammy Solis, 3 earned and 1 inning pitched, and it was just one of those days for the Nationals. And now the Nationals fall to 3rd place in the NL East at 40-34. Philly gained some ground on Atlanta. They're now 2.5 back of the Braves. In Chicago, the Reds beat the Cubs 6-3, taking the win. Luis Castillo taking the loss. Jose Quintana. Ben Zobrist goes 2 for 3 for the Cubbies. Joey Votto goes 2 for 3 for the Reds. Eugenio Suarez 3 for 4 for the Reds. Now the Reds are 30 and 45. They're maybe not as bad as we once thought they were. They're actually starting to win some games. And in Queens, the LA Dodgers beat the New York Mets 5-2. Taking the win, Alex Wood, who gives up 2 earned runs in 6 innings pitched. Taking the loss, Zach Wheeler, 7 innings pitched, 4 earned runs, 7 strikeouts, 3 walks. And Cody Bellinger hits a grand slam in the 6th inning off of Zach Wheeler, his 13th home run of the year. Yasiel Puig gets his 9th home run of the year off of Chris Beck. And in a slugfest in Boston tonight, the New England Patriots beat the Seattle Sea Chickens 14-10. Taking the win, Matt Barnes. Taking the loss, Juan Nicasio. Mitch Haniger goes 2 for 3 for the Mariners. Nelson Cruz 4 for 5. Andrew Romine 3 for 4 for Seattle. AD just dingers Martinez 4 for 5 tonight. 2 doubles. Hits his 23rd home run for Boston. And Mitch Moreland goes 3 for 5 for Boston. Rafael Devers 3 for 5. Wade LeBlanc, his worst start as a starter this year for the Mariners. 4 2/3 innings pitched. He allows 6 earned runs. But Steven Wright, just a skosh worse for the Red Sox tonight, gives up 10, yes, that you've heard that, 10 earned runs in 3 1/3 innings pitched for Boston. But the bullpen gives up nothing but zeros. Where Seattle, Pazos gives up an earned run in 1 inning pitch. Nick Vincent for Seattle, 2 earned in 1/3 of an inning pitched. Nicasio, 5 earned in 1/3 of an inning pitched. And now Seattle has lost 5 in a row against Boston and New York. They are falling 3.5 games back of Houston. It looks like they are the not ready for primetime players in Seattle, as they have not done well against New York and Boston. In Cleveland tonight, the Indians blank the Tigers 10-0, taking the win. Shane Bieber taking the loss. Mike Fiers, who gives up 4 earned in 5 innings pitched. And Johnny Barbado, not a good night for him. 5 earned runs in 1/3 of an inning pitched. And Yonder Alonso hits a grand salami to put an exclamation point on that game. In Tampa tonight, the Rays beat the Yankees 2-1, taking the win. Ryan Yarborough taking the tough loss. CC Sabathia. Wilson Ramos goes 3 for 4. Carlos Gomez 2 for 3 for the Rays. And it was opener night, as tonight's opener was Ryan Stanek for the Rays. The definition of a bullpen game comes from Tampa. And in 15 innings tonight, the Orioles beat the Braves 10-7, taking the win. Mike Wright Jr. taking the loss. Peter Moylan. And yes, Alex Cobb actually had a good start for once. Only an earned run in 7 innings pitched. And Dan Winkler gives up 4 earned in 1/3 of an inning pitched. Sam Freeman, 2 earned in 1/3 of an inning pitched. For Baltimore, Tanner Scott, 2 earned in 1/3 of an inning pitched. Not a good night for Zach Britton as he gives up 4 earned runs in 1/3 of an inning pitched. And that's got to be exhausting, though, going 15 innings. And in the second game of a doubleheader tonight, the White Sox beat the A's 6-4, taking the win. Lucas Giolito taking the loss. Chris Bassett, and it looks like he's just not ready for the show yet. Kind of fed to the Wolves too early with all the injuries going on with the Oakland A's rotation. Matt Olson hits his 16th home run of the year for the A's. And at this point, I think the A's are just looking for some healthy bodies in the rotation. But I think soon it might be time to call up Edwin Jackson. That's a scary thought. And tonight on the farm, down on the farm tonight, and we're going to talk some San Jose Sharks news tonight, too. The Grizzlies lose to the Isotopes 7-5. AJ Reed goes 3 for 5. Garrett Stubbs 2 for 4. John Kemmer with his 10th home run of the year. Mike Hauschild gives up 6 earned in 2 innings pitched. Not a good night for him in Fresno. But the comeback ends up being just a skosh short. They lose it 7-5. The River Cats get blanked by the Chihuahuas 3-0, taking the win. Luis Perdomo certainly somebody who I think is going to end up back up with the. Who's looking like he's having better days in El Paso. I certainly think he'll probably end up back in the Friars rotation sooner than later. Matt Gage takes the loss. 3 earned in 6 innings pitched. 2 walks, 4 strikeouts. Mike Cannoli, scoreless inning. Ray Black, his ERA is now down to 3.78. So I can't see why Ray Black is any worse than Pierce Johnson at this point. I certainly think Ray Black is nearing a call up at this point. Eric Law, it looks like he's starting to get that ERA down to 5.59. So maybe he's pitched better since he's been off the disabled list. So that's kind of been good there. So, but Tyler Beatty last night he got pounded for 3 unearned runs out of the pen. I think with him, it's starting to reach a point. Is it maybe time to maybe send Tyler Beatty to Double-A? That is a toughie there. And now on to some roster moves the Sharks made. The Sharks briefly traded for Mike Hoffman on Wednesday. Then he trades them to Florida for draft picks. But the good part is the Sharks were able to trade Mikhail Bodker's awful contract out of San Jose. And they get the 6th and 5th draft picks of the Senators. And they unloaded Mikhail Bodker for Hoffman. And then they traded Julius Bergman for Cody Donaghy. Hopefully, Bergman can crack the NHL roster in Toronto. Maybe Donaghy has more of an upside, so we'll see what happens there. And then he was traded for picks to Florida. So definitely a good move by Doug Wilson there to get rid of Mikhail Bodker's contract and it definitely cleared up some cap space to make a run at one John Tavares. And then today it looks they placed Paul Martin on waivers, and it looks like they are going to be buying out Paul Martin, which is totally not a surprise as he was ineffective in the playoffs. He's just become too much of a liability on defense. I'll thank him for his 1 year of good run with the playoff team, but last year was the regression of Paul Martin, and it looks like he's going to be he's on his way out of San Jose. And hopefully it will mean time for hopefully we will get the Sharks can now make a run at one John Tavares. Well, I am going to head to sleep now. A long day tomorrow. Good talking to you guys tonight. Please be free to use the chat. I would love to get some topics going on the chat, and I may be on tomorrow. I may not. Probably won't be on. I'll be back on Sunday. Thanks for tuning in. Everybody have a good night. Keep it real. Keep it teal. Keep it real teal. Good night.